You're totally right. Like, I'm too over-invested in water, for example. I'm trying to fix that now by going into electric cars, robotics, stuff. Like, I shouldn't buy more water, but I love water, man. I love the water stocks, dude. What happens when you Google water crisis, man? What the fuck is that? $2.3 billion people live in water-scarce areas. Okay, we're going to 2025. That's not that much more. I want to make money, though. But this is saying, whatever this is, man, that water is becoming a massive problem. And as we learned, like, what I'm betting on is that the human race is just fucking dumb as hell. If you look at Corona, the human race is reactive and not proactive. And I think when the water crisis comes, the human race is going to be too dumb to react. And then they're going to invest in water companies. And then TommyKay gets his fucking old people pension, dude. Water covers 7% of our planet. But I think only 1% of water is drinkable. And it's easy to think that it will always be plentiful. However, fresh water, the stuff we drink, bathe in, is incredibly rare. Only 3% of the world's water is fresh water, and 2/3 of that is tucked away in frozen glaciers. So 1% of water is usable. As a result, some 1.1 billion people worldwide lack access to water. That thing before said 2.5 billion. And a total of 2.7 billion find water scarce for at least 1 month of the year. And if you believe that climate change is getting bigger and hot times get bigger, that means water is going to dry and people are going to get shit on. I mean, look at California, right? And they're fucking fires, man. But these cities keep building these almond plants. Many of the water systems that keep ecosystems thriving and feed a growing human population have become stressed, rivers, lakes, etc. Blah, 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 blah. I shot some YouTube videos before about this stuff. Yeah, this is what I believe in. And the reason is obviously The Big Short, Michael Burry, man. If you want to learn anything about this, just watch The Big Short with Michael Burry. Is there anything on YouTube about Michael Burry investing in water? 2 months ago. This is 2 months ago.
At the end of
the game is very slow, guys, so we have time.
The movie The Big Short, the movie mentions that Michael Burry is now focusing all of his trading on one commodity, water. So in this,
if you don't know who Michael Burry is, he's the guy that predicted the 2008 housing crash. He made, I think, how much money? 300 million he made. He was shorting the housing market, and nobody else had the balls to do it. And he's kind of seen as a genius. And at the end of the movie, it says, as he said, he invests everything.
Video we're going to look.
And if you really do some research and sit down, Bill Gates is massively investing in water. He's buying land all around America that has access to running water, man. All the rich people are buying a lot of running water lands, dude. And it's like they know something that the basic public doesn't know. Thank you, Epidemic Man.
Look at how you might also invest in water, not directly, but indirectly through funds. So let's look at investing in water in a bit more detail. In an interview with New York Magazine, Burry said that what became clear to me is that food is the way to invest in water, by which he means you grow food in water-rich areas, such as Scotland, which you can see behind me here, and then you transport it to water-poor areas. And as he pointed out in the interview, 1 bottle of wine takes 400 bottles of water to produce. And it's
like, how is that real? 1 bottle of wine needs 4... What? That seems so fucking insane,
water,
right?
Which is embedded in food in its production.
It's like 1 hamburger takes 200 liters of water or some shit, man.
Which
that's
Burry
not true.
finds
That's a clear
interesting.
lie. Yeah, that
and here's a
sounds
lovely
insane.
graph from The Economist.
Yeah, The Economist. Volume of water required to produce 1 kilogram of chocolate. You need 17 liters or 7,000?
Which shows the volume of water required to produce 1 kilogram of various foodstuffs. It turns out that chocolate is top of the list, but meats generally also come out very high. So if you eat beef, mutton, or chicken, that has a very large water requirement.
You're gonna wake up one day
Whereas if you go for vegetables, typically the water requirement is much lower. So that's why avocados, bananas, and tomatoes are at the bottom of the list. Now, of course, we live on a planet which is very water rich, but the water which we can actually use is fairly limited, because usable water which we can drink or use for agriculture comes out of rivers or it comes out of aquifers, which we have to pump out of the ground. And if we look at this map of water stress, and that looks at the ratio of withdrawals of the supply.
You can say what you want, shit. I personally just feel this makes a lot of sense. Everyone has felt the world is getting hotter. It is a fucking fact. 2 years ago, we had a massive drought in Germany. South Africa, Jakarta, Mexico, Barcelona, they're really getting fucked more and more, man. Like, you see that stuff. So I really believe in this shit, dude.
Compared with the total supply, and this is based on a forecast in 2040, you can see these huge swathes of the world which tend to be highly populated with...
Like, all year, California is burning, Sardinia is burning, massive wildfires in Greece. Nobody's talking about it. The news doesn't talk about this. Does anyone remember that last year Austria almost burned to the ground and 1 billion animals died? The world is burning, it's getting drier, water's getting scarcer, man.
With lots
it's time to make money on that shit.
Of water.
It's time to make money on 1 billion dead koalas, motherfucker, okay?
Stress. And some of the greatest demand for water comes from agriculture. And there you see
more and more humans means more agriculture, means more water.
Many emerging market countries depending on these very limited water supplies. So the forecast here suggests that in 2030, the greatest stress will be in Brazil, Russia, India, and China. So what we have here is a pretty demonstrable finite resource where infrastructure is going to play a big part. So this is a pretty strong case for investing in water infrastructure. But how can you do that? Well, unlike Michael Burry, we probably couldn't afford to buy farmland in...
That's the thing. Bill Gates, Burry, this is a fact. You can Google this. All the rich people, they're buying farmland. Well, we can't do that,
water-rich areas.
And I was always wondering, imagine you know something nobody else knows. Imagine you sit in your room and somebody tells you information that something pretty big is going to happen. But how do you turn it into money? How do you invest in that? And I still ask myself till this day, man. Thank you,
a good alternative for regular investors such as you and I is to buy water funds. And if you look on Just ETF for European water funds, you can see that there are 4 of them listed beneath me here.
I have this one, iShares Global Water. By far, I just showed you guys my my best investment of all times.
And what's notable is that the expense ratio for those funds, because they're thematic funds, tends to be quite high. So I've sorted these 4 funds in ascending expense ratio.
The problem is they take a lot of your money. They take a lot of your money away, these funds.
And the cheapest one is 0.49% per year. And that's the LNG clean water use.
Lisa's aunt has a house on a running river, and I feel like that is going to be, in like 100 years, that shit is going to be so meta.
DB for the cheapest US water ETFs, these are the 5 which are listed. And again, I've sorted them from cheapest.
Invesco Global Water Index. Invesco Global Water Index. ETF. Can I see a graph for that? Can you just show me a normal graph? Dude, I just want to see a graph, okay? I'm a fucking normal human being. Just show me a graph. Oh, dude, that is... And the thing is, they're beating the MSCI World, man. Dude, how do I invest in this? Where's the number? Dude, I want to buy this. Where's the number? The Insen. Like, this is so confusing sometimes for a normal human being. Where the fuck's the number? Yes, and... how do I buy this? Dude, look, it's such a fucking safe... I mean, look at the graph. So safe, you don't get rich overnight, man. But... Mann, halt doch die Fresse hier mit deinem Shit, Mann. Bist du dumm oder was? Was ist denn das, Mann? Here, huh? The CIA. The small man wants to make some money, huh? But only Obama is allowed. Come on, man. Okay, can I see the number? This is the number. Ah, dude, I'm gonna... Sorry, guys, I'm doing some private shit real quick. Ah, there you go. Interesting. 5 years max. The thing is that shit is always so high right now, right? You kind of want to wait till it's down again. Interesting.
To most expensive, and the cheapest one is again quite expensive, 0.4% per year. But not all of these funds are created equal, so it really pays to...
What it means is that the proper funds is they take away a percentage of your money every year. because they are actively managed, and ETF is not actively managed.
Dig into
Which
what
is
exposure
cheaper.
they give you to find a fund which suits your needs.
3 people didn't come back? Oh, yeah.
And a very good place to start is with a fund fact sheet. So here's the fact sheet for that LNG
Okay, he's just
clean
showing the
water.
funds now. What about water crisis? I mean, we used to look at videos about this. Yeah, even Netflix has a... You can watch this right now. We watched this on stream. There's a lot of stuff, man, that water is becoming... 10 minutes
This
here.
video was made in collaboration with the National Center for Science Education. The Central
looks like my
Valley of
investment is good,
California
man.
is one of the United States' breadbaskets, or more accurately, produce baskets. For folks who live there, common sense water conservation is second nature. Linda, an agricultural laborer, has lived here all
A lot of people
her
didn't
life,
come back to the
and
game.
she carefully teaches her children to be conscious of their water usage. They use
Water should be privatized? Ask yourself why Nestle is trying to privatize water, because they fucking know what's
shorter
coming.
showers and are careful with their toothbrushing routines. They know to give their unfinished drinking water to the houseplants, and the family yard outside reflects
they're
an
very far ahead,
awareness
but most
of
of the human world
California's
doesn't think like this,
increasingly
man.
dry climate. It's an appealing rock garden lined with cacti and succulents. Yet the surrounding tomato and almond farms where Linda has worked for the last 15 years are thirsty industries. During the last several decades, as California
in
has
Toyota and
experienced
Kalashnikov,
an
there will be
extended
wars.
drought, the Central Valley has been forced to rely on groundwater, steadily drawing down the level of the water in the underlying aquifer. The drawdown
shit is
has been
reality.
so extreme, in
It looks
fact,
like,
that the
you know?
land above the aquifer is noticeably sinking. Climate change is expected to make freshwater scarcity worse, both in the water-stressed Central Valley and around the world. Because when greenhouse gases accumulate and the atmosphere warms, the water cycle changes. With the rise of global temperatures comes the accelerated melting of sea ice and glaciers, which returns water that's been locked up for thousands of years back into the dynamic water cycle.
Isn't that good?
Warmer temperatures lead both to greater evaporation of that newly introduced water and an atmosphere that can hold more of that water as vapor. Because water vapor is a potent greenhouse gas, increased evaporation leads to increased warming and
Yeah, if you really sit down and learn about climate change, and shut up, chat, you and me both are not fucking ultra experts. It seems to really be a spiral. The more the world gets hotter, the more it just spirals up and up and up and up,
increased
and gets
warming
crazier.
leads to increased evaporation and so on, a phenomenon known as a positive feedback loop. And ultimately, as evaporation increases, so too does water scarcity. On the other hand, increased amounts of atmospheric water vapor and heat energy can also combine to fuel events like hurricanes. It may seem counterintuitive, but big storms can actually intensify water scarcity. When too much water arrives all at once, much of it will simply run off, leaving aquifers unreplenished. On top of that, a big hurricane can also cause extensive infrastructure damage and contamination that further worsens water scarcity. These global-scale phenomena have local consequences. In California's Central Valley, residents like Linda have seen firsthand how sustained drought has pitted individuals against industry in the struggle for a finite and critical resource, water. The Central Valley grows the bulk of California's produce and accounts for an estimated 12% of overall
that's a lot,
agricultural
man.
product in the U.S. When the industry
Why they
began to
set on
develop,
Linda, yeah.
California's climate was
And that is a fact. Every Californian chat tells you this, man. We all hear about the wildfires all the time, man. It's always burning over there. Something is fucking happening, dude.
much wetter. Through years of drought, however, the Central Valley has sustained its agriculture by drawing heavily on its aquifers and reservoirs. But this diminishing water reserve is increasingly contaminated with agricultural byproducts like nitrate and arsenic, which concentrate into a potent concoction as the water level drops. Linda is well aware that her well
It's always
water
been like
is
that. Wrong. There's statistics showing. We could Google around. Maybe someone can Google that. This is not normal. Everyone, all these people that always say that it's always been like this are idiots. Every statistic shows. Why am I running out of civs? Living standards shows that these events are getting worse and worse and more frequent.
undrinkable. Even showering in the water gives her youngest daughter Sarah a rash. and she currently relies on donations of potable water from a local nonprofit. But that water never seems to be enough, which is one of the reasons she teaches her children to be so careful with water. And Linda and her family are not alone. California's current governor estimates that 1 million Californians have unsafe drinking water.
Jeez, imagine that. Our lives are so easy. Imagine your government tells you your water is
This is
unsafe,
just
man.
the beginning. Scientists expect climate change to exacerbate California's droughts along with its fire seasons, which means it's likely that the state's water woes will only get worse. But California isn't alone in experiencing water scarcity. The Amazon rainforest has experienced unprecedented droughts in the last few years, and the fires that roared through the system in 2019 are indicative of that dryness. The Amazon is important for many reasons: biodiversity, carbon storage, and culture. But the sheer volume of the forest and its component trees means that it drives its own weather system. About half of the rainwater that falls in the Amazon is generated from transpiration from trees themselves. Recent research has shown that large mature trees withstand dry conditions better than the short agricultural vegetation that often replaces it following deforestation. However, when exposed...
Listen, I'm looking at chat, and there's a lot of people. California sucks. Fuck California. The liberal... Nobody cares about the humans or politics of California right now. Do you guys? Like, you kind of make me think that my investments are very good, because I'm betting against human race. I think humans are stupid, and then I read chat, and I'm like, who the fuck cares about Californian politics right now? There you go. I think this is a much bigger problem.
Drought, even big trees die. Because trees play such an important role in the local water cycle, their loss is expected to fundamentally transform the Amazon ecosystem, with jungle eventually transforming into savanna. And the more trees lost, the worse the drought, which in turn stresses and kills more trees. It's another positive feedback loop. And unfortunately, there is also a third loop. When the bodies of the dead trees are decomposed, stored carbon is released back into the atmosphere, strengthening the greenhouse effect and further driving climate change. This problem isn't limited to the Central Valley and Amazon rainforest. Approximately 70% of the world's population faces water scarcity at least 1 month a year, with 500 million people, about 6% of the population, exposed to severe water scarcity all year round. Most often,
Sorry, almost done. Power armor bonuses, research, woodworking, factory output, boom.
Scarcity is exacerbated by poor distribution, management, and political practices, more so than
this is what
overall...
I'm betting on. Everybody being just stupid. And everyone in chat knows, looking at their own government, their own life, and their corona, for example, that the human race is fucking monkey, man. Like, the one thing you can always bet on is that humans are not gonna be the brightest of fellas, man. Let me just check. Oh, 10% factory output. Winston the cheater is slave logger. Jesus.
Global shortage.
Forced labor and resource slot.
Of fresh water. Humans have become large consumers of water as our population has boomed over the last several decades. But consumption is not equitable. The agricultural industry is responsible for consuming almost 70% of the world's fresh water, with large corporations that enjoy political and economic clout consuming heavily, as in the case of the produce companies who employ Linda in the California Central Valley. There, Linda and her community suffer the consequences of environmental and water mismanagement.
I mean, Sheka, I know you're memeing a lot, but Israel is genius with this stuff. Israel is, I think, the first nation in the world that has heavily invested in desalination plants, even though they're a very, very bad investment and cost a lot. But by having a lot of desalination plants at the Eastern Mediterranean, they already are set up for the future and have massive reserves of fresh water, while all these other Arab countries are gonna not have that when climate change is fucking that region over.
While
and that's gonna lead to even more war, man. The water wars. They're all gonna be mad at Israel that they have water.
The industry continues to drain local aquifers. But there are alternatives to our current practices. Water-efficient solutions such as improved irrigation, cover cropping, and agroforestry can help reduce agriculture's drain on fresh water. In addition, to protect the limited amount of fresh water we do have access to.
Isn't it funny how every problem in the world could be fixed with fixing the population.
We must regulate water pollution and improve wastewater treatment, all the while employing water recycling techniques with proper filtration.
And that's kind of the stuff that I'm investing. A guy in chat was just asking how do you make money. I kind of invest in companies that have technology about this in a way.
Purification to conserve as much water as possible.
And I think that when the water crisis comes,
addressing
governments will
freshwater
heavily invest in
scarcity
these companies.
globally,
That's
much
what
like
I'm
addressing
guessing.
climate change, however, requires a multifaceted approach. And because the two issues are intricately connected, addressing freshwater scarcity will require a concerted effort to mitigate climate change. With just 2 degrees Celsius of warming, it's estimated that 40% of the population might be exposed to extreme.
Uses its occupation of the Golan Heights to control the flow of the River Jordan. The desalinization plants are a slow improvement, but they are hoarding water from one of the most important rivers in the region.
Okay, interesting to know. Thank you for the
Water
sub.
scarcity. Climate change solutions, then, like combining strategies to sequester carbon with those to reduce emissions.
And as always, we can save this if we work together. And then I ask myself, are humans working together, man? Looking at Corona, are we doing well with this stuff?
Increasing demand for fresh water. They must tackle the problem at its source, with policies to protect the rights of the people.
Someone is sending me a link that this is the Californian water reservoirs that are actually only 25% full anymore.
People from industrial overuse. Water scarcity is a recurring reality for the majority of the world's population. And as climate change alters the water cycle and exacerbates extreme weather, it's likely that more people will suffer. Without transformative action, the water-saving techniques that Linda uses today will become the new normal for more and more people worldwide. For Linda, and especially for her daughter Sarah, water shortages and contaminated water are all they know. Yet there are ways forward.
Hello.
Addressing climate change and alleviating water scarcity will require immense political action, as will assuring that their consequences don't fall disproportionately on those.
So yeah, he's kind of saying shit is happening and we have to do something as the human race. And I always feel like the human race ain't gonna do fucking shit. I'm hoping, man. Like if the human race, if some dude is like, hey, I have technology, we have infinite water, I'm kind of fucked. But looking at the human race for 30 years, and especially how we handle Corona and stuff, I think that humans are really driven by greed and money, and it's very hard for them to react to stuff. Cool story. I have noticed you repeat yourself a lot, talk blah 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 blah. I noticed you're a fucking idiot killer. Manning up, what the fuck are you on about? How does Tommy reacting to climate change really trigger the response? Just man up, you little bitch. Where's the connection? What? When will Bundle be back? Probably tomorrow. Do you ever catch yourself thinking in English? All the time, yes. Have you invested in anything related to hydroponic farming? I don't know what that is, sorry. You are so insecure. Okay. But you're still a bitch.